November 1943. The Pacific jungle is quiet, too quiet. And somewhere up in the trees, a Japanese sniper is staring through his scope, waiting for a Marine to lift his head just half an inch too high. Now, let me ask you something. How do you fight a man you can't see, but who sees everything you do? Most Marines never found the answer, but one man did. And he didn't use a rifle, he didn't use a grenade, he didn't even use a weapon. He used the dumbest object on the battlefield, a steel helmet on a stick. And somehow, this ridiculous carnival prop turned into the deadliest anti-sniper trick of the entire war. But here's the real question you need to keep in your head as you watch. Why did the smartest snipers in the Japanese Army fall for the dumbest trick a Marine ever invented? And more importantly, what does that tell us about human fear and about you? If you're new here and you want real, immersive World War II stories that put you in the cockpit, in the trenches, and behind enemy lines, subscribe now. Most people scroll past history, but you're here to experience it. So hit subscribe and like the video. The mission's only just begun. Before we get into the tactic, let me show you something that military historians still argue about. And trust me, when historians argue, it means someone is lying. Japanese snipers in the Pacific weren't just marksmen. They were ghosts with rifles. They sat motionless for 48 to 72 hours. They camouflaged themselves into tree trunks. They fired once, then vanished. You didn't hear them. You didn't see them. You didn't shoot back. You just watched another Marine collapse beside you. And that brings us to the next question you should hold on to. Is discipline enough to win a war? Or does discipline make you predictable? Think about that as we continue. Sergeant William Bill Ethridge was no hero. He wasn't a sniper. He wasn't even a marksman. Before the war, he worked in a traveling carnival. Not a strongman, not a cowboy. He ran the moving target booth. You know, the rigged ones where nothing behaves how you expect. He understood one thing better than any soldier around him. People don't shoot at what's real. They shoot at what looks real. And this leads to your next enigma question. If you could manipulate what your enemy expects, could you control what they shoot at? Ethridge was about to prove it.
He grabbed an empty steel helmet. He stuffed a ration box inside for weight. He jammed the helmet onto a cleaning rod. That was it. No tech, no training manual, no genius device. Just a carnival trick disguised as a Marine's head. He lifted it above his foxhole, not smoothly, but with jerky, panicked human movements. A scared Marine peeking where he shouldn't. And exactly 0.7 seconds later, crack! A sniper fired. Clean, precise, predictable. And here's the question that should bother you right now. Why did an elite Japanese sniper shoot at something so obviously stupid? The answer comes later. Keep watching. The moment the sniper fired, Marines lit up his tree. Bar bursts, grenades, splinters exploding into the mist. A sniper who survived 6 days, taken out by a helmet on a stick. Ethridge wiped the mud off the helmet, looked at his squad and said, "They ain't as clever as they think." But the real magic wasn't the helmet. It was what the helmet made the sniper feel. Fear, opportunity, habit. Here's your next puzzle. do highly trained soldiers become more dangerous or more predictable? Ethridge already knew the truth.
His squad filled their helmets with boxes, mud, anything with weight. Suddenly, the line was filled with fake heads rising and falling like a cursed carnival game. Snipers couldn't resist. Shot after shot after shot, giving away positions they had spent days perfecting. Japanese doctrine demanded immediate reaction to movement. Ethridge weaponized that instinct, turned it into a death sentence. And here's your next question. If the enemy trains you to be perfect, can your perfection be used against you? Military historians hate this part because it breaks the myth that Japan's snipers were unbeatable, the myth that Marines won only because of bravery, the myth that discipline is always an advantage. Ethridge proved something darker. The battlefield doesn't reward skill. It rewards whoever breaks the rules first. Now ask yourself, was the helmet trick genius, or was sniper doctrine flawed from the start? That's for you, the viewer, to decide. Within weeks, the trick spread across the Pacific. Bougainville, Guam, Saipan, Peleliu. Snipers who once terrorized entire battalions were now firing at ghosts, at illusions, at helmets filled with mud. And the question that remains, the one I want you to think about long after the video ends, was this the smartest improvised weapon in WW2, or the most humiliating defeat elite snipers ever suffered? Comment below. I want to know which side you take.
Stuff your lids, boys. We're making ghosts. The Marines stared at him. He wasn't joking. Corporal Mendez spoke first. "Sarge, you seriously want us waving helmets around? We'll draw fire." Ethridge jabbed a finger upward. "That man up there," he pointed at the collapsed banyan, "shot an empty helmet. He shot a box with a metal bowl on top. He did it because the shape and the movement were right." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Because he couldn't resist the kill." The squad said nothing. There was something unnerving in Ethridge's tone. Not madness, not bravado, just a strange, carnival-born confidence. He understood human reflexes, the same way a magician understands where people look when their attention is stolen. And snipers were just people with rifles and predictable instincts. Mendez finally exhaled. "All right, Sergeant, show us." Ethridge nodded toward the next foxhole over, empty now, except for a blood-soaked bandage roll and an abandoned rifle. "That's where we try it." Lewinsky's eyes widened. "You're not making me do it." "Relax," Ethridge said. "We're learning the rhythm first." He crouched behind a fallen log, cleaned the mud off his improvised decoy, and lifted it again in that same uncanny dance. Up, tilt, pause, dip, rise, jerk sideways. Human enough to fool a man watching through a scope. Human enough to trigger a conditioned response. Human enough to provoke a fatal mistake. "See that?" Ethridge said softly. "That's fear. And every sniper on this island knows fear better than they know their mothers." Before anyone could reply, crack! A rifle shot sliced through the mist. A chunk of bark exploded inches from Ethridge's face. Lewinsky ducked. "Jesus, Sarge!" But Ethridge wasn't ducking. He was smiling. The shot hadn't come from the banyan tree. It came from deeper in the jungle, high, angled, maybe 50 yards left. He pointed. "That's number 2. Mendez's voice trembled. "How in God's name did you know where—" "Because he hesitated, and hesitation ain't fatal to the helmet,
just to the man. He waved his arm. "BAR team, up there!" A burst of fire ripped into the treetop. Another grenade arced through the branches. A body dropped from the limbs like a wet sack onto the jungle floor. The Marines stared. Ethridge tapped his helmet twice, as if saluting. "Welcome to the carnival, boys." He handed Lewinsky another ration box. "Get to stuffing. We're not done." Above them, the jungle held dozens more ghosts, and Ethridge planned to drag every single one of them into the light.
November 3rd, 1943, Bougainville, 7:02 a.m. The second sniper hit the dirt with a sickening thud, and the jungle went quiet again. Not peaceful, never peaceful here. The quiet felt watchful, like a lid pressed firmly over a boiling pot. Every man on that line knew the truth. Where there were 2 Japanese snipers, there were always more. The squad crouched low in the foxholes, gripping their rifles, eyes scanning the treetops for the next invisible executioner. But Bill Ethridge, he just kept right on working. He knelt in the mud, rummaging through a pile of ration boxes, like a man preparing props for his next show. He inspected each one, tossed some aside, kept others, tapping their cardboard edges with a familiar carnival rhythm. Lewinsky watched him, bewildered. "Sarge, what are you even looking for?" Ethridge shoved a box into the inside of another helmet. "Balance. Weight. See, if the head's too light, it floats. Too heavy, it droops. A real terrified Marine's got panic posture. Neck stiff, shoulders tight, just a little wobble in the spine." He paused and looked up at Lewinsky with raised eyebrows. "You ever seen a man stand up calm while a sniper's hunting him?" Lewinsky shook his head slowly. "Exactly." The Marines quietly assembled around him, as if attending some unholy workshop. Sweat ran down their necks. Mosquitoes buzzed around open wounds. The thick, humid air smelled of wet soil, blood, and gunpowder. But Ethridge didn't rush. He was building something. A system. A ritual. Mendez pointed at the pile of helmets. "Sergeant, you're making more of those things." "Yep," Ethridge said. "We're gonna make a whole family." "A family?" Ethridge stood, holding up the cleaning rod like a staff. "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Dancing Heads of Bougainville. Next show starts in 5 minutes." The squad looked at each other. Some snickered. Most just swallowed hard. Because it was dawning on everyone. This wasn't a joke anymore. It was a tactic. A new one. A weird one. But one that worked. And on Bougainville, anything that kept you alive for 1 more hour was gospel. Ethridge distributed helmets and rods. "Start practicing. Keep the motions uneven. Fear isn't smooth. Slow rise, tiny wobbles, then snap back, like this." He demonstrated again. Up 3 inches, pause. Tilt left, dip. Rise another inch, jerk right. To anyone else, it looked ridiculous. To a sniper watching through a scope, it looked like a Marine losing the courage to peek. Lewinsky tried it and nearly dropped the helmet. "Feels stupid, Sarge." "It's supposed to. That's what makes it work."
The men, battered, exhausted, terrified, began awkwardly mimicking his movements. At 5:47 a.m. on August 8, 1941, 24-year-old Ludmila Pavlinchenko crouched behind a stack of rubble in Belaya-Tsarkov, Ukraine, watching a German sniper prepare to kill the Soviet soldier hiding 40 meters to her left. History student, 4 months in the Red Army, 0 confirmed kills, 309 to go. The Wehrmacht had sent 3 full divisions to take Odessa, 150,000 German soldiers advancing. Soviet forces were outnumbered 3 to 1,
and Ludmila had just volunteered to become a sniper in a unit losing soldiers faster than they could train them. She'd been on the front lines for 6 hours, no sleep, no food, just her Mosin Nagant rifle, 40 rounds of ammunition, and a death wish wrapped in patriotic fury. Her university in Kiev had been bombed 11 days earlier, 73 students killed, her professor, Dr. Anatoly Vulov, buried under rubble for 2 hours before they dragged out his body. Her best friend Natasha died in the library. Fire consumed the building. Natasha couldn't get out. Ludmila enlisted the next morning. The recruiting officer told her to become a nurse. Women belonged in medical units, not infantry. Ludmila told him she'd been shooting since she was 14. Marksmen scores in the youth shooting club, top tier in regional competitions. The officer laughed. Shooting targets wasn't combat. Combat was blood, screams, death. Women couldn't handle it.
Ludmila told him to test her. The officer handed her a rifle and pointed at a fence post 100 meters away. She put 5 rounds through the center. The officer stopped laughing. She was assigned to the 25th Rifle Division as a sniper. That was 4 months ago. Now she was in Ukraine watching Germans kill her comrades, and she still hadn't taken her first shot. The German sniper was 280 meters away, positioned behind a destroyed farmhouse wall. Ludmila could see the top of his helmet through a crack in the masonry. He was tracking the Soviet soldier, waiting for him to move. The soldier was Sergeant Dmitry Kravchenko, 32 years old, married, 2 children. Ludmila had met him yesterday. He'd shared his bread with her when she hadn't eaten in 18 hours. Now he was about to die because he didn't know a German was aiming at him. Ludmila raised her rifle. Her hands were steady, her breathing controlled. Her instructor's voice echoed in her head. Don't think about killing. Think about solving a problem. Distance, wind, movement. It's mathematics, not murder. 280 meters. Light crosswind from the west. Target stationary. She adjusted for windage, settled the crosshairs in the crack where the German helmet showed. Her finger touched the trigger. This was the moment that would define everything. Either she could kill, or she couldn't. Either she was a soldier, or she was a student pretending to be one. She squeezed. The Mosin kicked against her shoulder. The sound cracked across the battlefield. Through the scope, she saw the German helmet jerk backward, then disappear. Kravchenko looked around, confused, didn't know what happened. Ludmila cambered another round and scanned for threats. Nothing moved. She had just killed her first German soldier. She felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Only the immediate question, where's the next one? That was August 8th, 1941. By May 1942, Ludmila Pavlichenko would have 309 confirmed kills, including 36 enemy snipers. She would become the deadliest female sniper in history. And the crazy trick that made it possible was something Soviet doctrine explicitly forbade. She used herself as bait. The first sniper Ludmila lost was Lieutenant Anna Morozova, August 19, 1941. Morozova had been a sniper for 8 months, 47 confirmed kills, experienced, smart, by the book. Soviet sniper doctrine was clear. Never expose your position. Find concealment, take your shot. Move immediately to a secondary position. Never stay in one place more than 30 minutes. Never fire more than 3 shots from one location. Never engage without a clean exit route. Morozova followed every rule. She positioned herself in a bombed-out apartment building, 3rd floor, excellent sight lines, 2 exit routes. She engaged a German machine gun crew at 320 meters. 1 shot, 1 kill.
then moved to her secondary position on the second floor, waited 20 minutes, engaged a German officer at 280 meters, clean kill. She began moving to her third position on the ground floor. A German sniper shot her through the stairwell window. Single round to the chest. She died before medics arrived.
The German sniper had tracked her first shot, predicted her movement pattern, and positioned himself to intercept. Morozova never saw him. The man who killed her was Hans Becker, Wehrmacht's sniper, 89 confirmed kills, specialist in counter-sniper operations. He hunted Soviet snipers the way Mudlunyala hunted German soldiers. Becker's pattern was consistent. Wait for Soviet snipers to engage, track their positions, anticipate their movements, and kill them when they relocate. Soviet doctrine made his job easier. If you followed the rules, you were predictable. If you were predictable, you were dead. The second sniper Ludmilla lost was Corporal Viktor Stepanov. August 27th, 19 years old, sniper for 6 weeks. 11 confirmed kills. Good kid, eager to prove himself. He set up in a drainage ditch 400 meters from German lines. Perfect concealment, good sight lines, textbook positioning. At dawn, he engaged a German patrol. 2 shots, 2 kills. Germans scattered and took cover. Stepanov followed doctrine, stayed low, waited 15 minutes, prepared to move to his secondary position. A German artillery shell landed directly in his ditch. Nothing left to bury. The Germans had called in artillery based on where they believed the sniper was hiding. Standard counter-sniper tactic. Observe the shot, estimate location, saturate the area with explosives. Stepanov's concealment was perfect, his accuracy excellent, his discipline flawless. He died anyway because the Germans knew exactly how Soviet snipers operated. By September, Ludmilla had watched 7 snipers die. Every single one had followed doctrine. Every single one died because they were predictable. German counter-sniper units were too good. They knew Soviet tactics, Soviet positioning, Soviet movement patterns. Fighting by the book meant dying by the book. Ludmilla studied each engagement. Same pattern every time. Soviet sniper takes position, engages target. Germans triangulate the shot. Counter-sniper or artillery responds. Soviet sniper dies or retreats. The issue wasn't marksmanship. Soviet snipers could shoot. The issue was that they fought defensively. They waited for targets. They reacted. They followed doctrine. They never initiated, never controlled the engagement, never made the Germans react to them. German snipers, especially the experienced ones like Becker, hunted actively. They created targets. They forced Soviet snipers to expose themselves, then killed them. Ludmilla needed to reverse the dynamic. Stop being prey, become predator. But Soviet doctrine was explicit. Concealment is survival. Exposure is death. Never compromise your position. Never give the enemy a target. The doctrine made sense in theory. In practice, it was a death sentence. German counter-snipers were too skilled. They could find you even when you were perfectly concealed. August 1944. The Allied breakthrough at Normandy has shattered German defenses across France. General George Patton's Third Army is racing eastward at speeds no military planner thought possible, advancing 30, 40, sometimes 50 miles per day. But there's a problem no one anticipated. The armies are outrunning their supply lines. Every Sherman tank burns 5 gallons of fuel per mile. Every infantry division needs 650 tons of supplies daily: ammunition, rations, medical equipment, spare parts. At the Supreme Headquarters, the logistics officers are looking at numbers that don't add up. Patton's tanks are literally running dry. The Third Army has advanced so rapidly that trucks can't keep pace. In 1 week alone, forward units report being down to 3 days of ammunition. Some tank battalions are completely immobilized, not from enemy action, but from empty fuel tanks. The room erupts when Colonel Frank Ross, Chief of Transportation, briefs General Eisenhower on August 21st. "We're losing 23% of supplies before they reach the front," Ross reports. "Truck accidents, German air attacks, vehicles breaking down mid-convoy. If Patton stops moving, the Germans will reinforce. If he keeps moving without supplies, his army will collapse."
Eisenhower stares at the map. The window to end the war by Christmas is closing. How long to fix this? Weeks, maybe months. We'd need to completely redesign the convoy system, establish proper maintenance depots. But they don't have weeks. Eisenhower's finger traces the red line marking the German border. The Wehrmacht is retreating now. Give them time to regroup, and they'll be fighting through the Siegfried Line in winter. I need solutions in days, gentlemen, not months. The meeting adjourns with no answers. Meanwhile, 90 miles away, Technical Sergeant Raymond Ray Kowalski sits in the cab of his GMC Jimmy truck, staring at the wreckage of another convoy. 8 trucks overturned and burned, supplies scattered across the roadside. A Luftwaffe strafing run caught them bunched together on a narrow road, sitting ducks. Kowalski, 34, a long-haul trucker from Pittsburgh before the war. No college degree, no military pedigree. Just 15 years hauling steel through Pennsylvania's mountain roads. Watches good men die because nobody in command understands trucking. He lights a cigarette, remembering something his old dispatcher used to say. Convoys are for show. Profits are in the spacing. Before we continue, if you're fascinated by untold innovations that changed history, hit subscribe and drop a like on this video for more amazing World War II stories every day.
The Red Ball Express. Official convoy doctrine. 20-plus trucks, 60 yards apart, 25 miles per hour max. Safety in numbers. But Kowalski has seen 6 convoys in 2 weeks, every one taking casualties. The problem isn't just German air attacks, it's the convoy itself. 20 trucks bunched on a rural road create a target visible for miles. When aircraft appear, the entire convoy stops, trapped. Yet he notices something else. When a few impatient drivers leave alone once loaded, those trucks always arrive safely. The convoy? It loses 3 trucks that day. Independent trucks, spread out over hours, are nearly impossible to target. Even if one truck is spotted, it's not worth the fuel to hit it. But a convoy? That's a prize. The math is brutal. Convoys suffer 23% losses. Independents? Under 3%. The proposal. August 25th. Kowalski brings his notebook to Captain Dennis Hayes. "Sir, I think I know how to cut our supply losses by 90%. Hayes looks him over. dusty coveralls, oil-stained hands, and delivers a line that will echo through logistics history. Kowalski, you're a goddamn truck driver. Leave the tactics to people who went to West Point. His proposal goes up the chain with a dismissive note. Battalion HQ denies it immediately. Individual vehicle operations eliminate mutual support and violate tactical protocol. Kowalski laughs bitterly. He's been driving trucks longer than these officers have been alive, and they're lecturing him on vehicle operations. But he doesn't give up. On August 27th, he approaches Lieutenant Colonel Martin Burgess.
April 17, 1943, Maknassi Pass, Tunisia. War isn't quiet. War doesn't wait. And today, war just got humiliated by a 2,000-pound scrap of American steel. The Africa Corps moved through the desert like ghosts, silent, low, disciplined. These were Germany's finest, the men who brought Europe to its knees. But today, they were about to get absolutely violated by something that shouldn't exist. Not a tank, not a bomber, not some secret Allied weapon forged in a lab. No, a Jeep.